This podcast discusses real-life experiences that may include topics such as grief, trauma, medical or mental health challenges, and other emotionally sensitive content. Please take care of yourself while listening, and if at any point in the conversation you feel overwhelmed, it's okay to pause, step away, or skip this episode entirely. While some of our guests are licensed professionals, the Holiday Survival Podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical, psychological, or therapeutic advice. If you are struggling or need support, please reach out to a qualified healthcare provider or mental health professional. Now, let's begin. This episode is brought to you by the Disaster Playbook from Here Comes the Apocalypse. The holidays can be the most wonderful time of the year, or they can literally be the worst. That's why I'm bringing back the Holiday Survival Podcast, the show that gets real about a season that isn't always merry and bright. If the holidays bring up stress, grief, pressure, complicated family dynamics, or just big emotions, you are in the right place. My name is Erin and I am your host. In each episode, we'll have honest conversations, share practical tools, and offer hope for anyone navigating the messy, beautiful, and emotional reality of this time of the year. No forced cheer, no sugarcoating, just real stories, real support, and reminders that you are not alone. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the final episode of Season 2 of the Holiday Survival Podcast. If you have been curious about what's coming in 2026, you are in the right place. We've got award-winning psychic and medium Jen Abra here to share her predictions for the new year. Jen, thank you so much for being here. I just love what you do online and your content. You are such a breath of fresh air. I think people are going to be really interested to hear what's going to be happening over the course of the next year. So why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, so that our listeners can get to know you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Erin. I always love being a guest on podcasts so I can get the word out there of what I do and how I can help people and how other psychics can help as well too. My name is Jen Abra. A lot of people don't get my last name, which is great. I always say this. People say, tell me about yourself. People immediately go to what they do for work, right? So I'm going to start a different way and be like, I'm Jen. At this time of you're going to have this podcast, I will be officially a 51-year-old woman. I love what I do. I have 4 kids. They are pretty old now. I would say the oldest one is about 24. And I spent most of my life donating my time and my energy always to being mother. I was also a kindergarten teacher. I'm a retired kindergarten teacher. So I'm always trying to find ways to help people, little kids and now big kids. I am an author. I actually wrote a book called Unearth Your Intuition as well too. I'm a traveler. I love to travel the world. I'm a Sagittarius, Leo rising, all those good things. As you can maybe tell from my personality, I love to go places. We're just going on a trip tomorrow for 2 weeks, love to see the world. You learn from the school of life when you travel. That's one of my biggest things. I love to travel. Freedom is a big thing for me. If you keep me caged, I'll get upset with you. You'll bust out of there. So like you said, I am psychic. I became psychic actually after I quit my teaching job to talk to dead people on a full-time basis. So that's like a little cold notes of who I am and what I do. There's obviously more to it, but for this purposes, I think it's important for people to know a little bit of my background, and not that everyone knows how to be psychic. They're not always born with it, and you can actually learn how to do this. So I'm also a teacher as well. So, yeah.
I love that because I've been following you for a while, and we've been getting to know each other behind the scenes as more friends and colleagues.
Yes.
I really love how you bring entertainment to your predictions. Like, you dance around, you're funny. It's not just doom and gloom all the time. There's life behind it. And I really appreciate that because sometimes with the state of the world and the things that are going on, it can get dark online with some of these psychics and their predictions. And I feel like you just bring so much personality to yours. And I love that about you. So something I think people would be interested to know is, when did you know that you had psychic gifts? You said that it wasn't something that you were born with.
Nope.
So it just developed over time?
Yeah, so I can tell you the story. Basically,
Sure.
If I think back, I believe maybe my first official psychic hit that I realized was maybe something, but not been a big deal, was I think I might have been around 20 something. I remember I was in college and I think I moved back home for a bit to figure out what I wanted to do. And it might have even been before that, but I remember my bedroom was in the basement. And I remember lying in bed in the middle of the night. I just woke up suddenly and I was like, I heard the phone ringing in my head. It wasn't actually ringing. And I heard, your grandma's in the hospital. And then 2 seconds later, the phone rang because it was on the wall, those old school phones, on the wall. And I hear a boom above my head. There's my dad's footprints. And I hear, and then they come down the stairs. We got to go to the hospital. Your grandma got a heart attack. So that was my very first one. I've had other ones than that. But officially, this part of my story of like how I left the school board of being a teacher is that I remember I ended up being so miserable when I transitioned from a private school teacher to the school board. And I thought that was my dream job. But as soon as I transitioned from that to the school board, I started to realize, what this actually entailed and the politics and all the kind of miserableness behind the scenes that people don't really talk about as being teachers in the school board. And the more miserable I got, the more I started to realize there has to be more to my life than this. And as soon as I started thinking that and going through that process, all these things started happening to me randomly. A whole bunch of things happened to me. And then I was like, okay, I need to go learn how to figure this out. I don't know what's going on with me. I need help. I cannot understand what is going on here with all these signs and songs playing. So I ended up finding a teacher. I don't even know how I found her. But there was a school called the School of Miracles about 15 minutes from my house. And I just went boop and I just signed up. And I started taking psychic development classes. And then the first day we did an exercise and she looked at me and she goes, you have corn of the cob growing out of your ear. And I'm like, that's not very psychic of you. That's weird. She's like, you're going to be clairaudient. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? And it meant that you could hear the spirit information. So yeah, that's the Coles version of how I became psychic. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Corn on the cob out of the ear.
Yeah, I'll never forget that. I remember two things that my teacher said to me, and I repeat to my students. The first thing she said was, there's corn on the cob coming out your ear. And that meant you're going to be able to hear things, which I am. I'm only clairaudient. I hear spirit talking to me. And then the other thing she says is, if you don't meditate, I'm going to find out. And I was like, what? And she's like, you know how I'm going to know? Because you won't get any better. And like those two things, they're embedded in me. And so I now tell my students, if you don't meditate, I'm going to find out.
I love that. That is hilarious. But I'm sure it's very true. It makes sense. So you're known for making predictions about world events. Yes. How do you get this information? Is it channeled or do you have a source? How do you come about this?
It comes in different ways, Erin. Sometimes meditation. I'll start with that. Meditation is the thing that opened me up to be able to discern between my imagination, a thought, or psychic information. So there's a process to it. But I like to call it HI. So psychic information is received. And it's something that feels like an electronic or an energetic download that kind of comes into your head. Like an inspired action idea, it kind of has the same feeling to it. When people say, where does it come from? I used to say spirit, and they're like, what does spirit mean? And I'm like, it comes from inside of you. What does that mean? And then I started calling it HI, so the high intelligence. So that can be God, that can be source. It basically comes from the same place. But the way I teach it, though, is that there's a psychic realm. And so for me, the psychic realm opens up and just brings me the information and has that pull to, like, okay, go tell everybody about it. There's like nudges to do that. But I just say it comes from God, basically, is like the top tier. It doesn't come from spirit guides. I don't channel anybody. I don't channel entities or angels or anything like that. It comes from the source. And like I said, it opens up in the psychic realm and comes through there. I teach like a door. It's like a door opens and then boom, here's a vision. It comes with a vision and then it comes with a knowing. So if I get the vision without a knowing, I won't share it. Oh, because the knowing is like the confidence or like it's actually going to happen, where I could get a random vision about a boat. But if I don't have any knowing of what that means, I won't share it.
So can you share a little bit about your story of how you went viral? Because I think this is a really great story. Yes,
I like telling this story. Going back to the corn on the cob in my ear, I hear spirit talking to me or God talking to me and through the psychic realm. And it was very synchronized that one day. It's like a fateful day almost, even though it seemed like a random, regular kind of day that you would just do. So we moved about 2.5 hours away, or an hour and a half away from our hometown where we lived forever. We moved to a small town. My son, who was 22 at the time, he went off with his friends, and I was going to drive back to the hometown to pick him up and bring him back here. And he texted me, and I was already halfway there. So it's a long drive. He goes, I'm going to be late. Sorry about that. Traffic is bad. Can you just hang out, wait for me? I'm like, no problem. I said, what should I do? I'm like, I'll go sit in McDonald's parking lot of all places. I'll just go sit here and go on TikTok and have some of my coffee or whatever. It was like 2 hours in the car waiting for him. I'm like, ugh. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, and that's a key term, is all of a sudden, I had this overwhelming energetic force pushing me, and I heard in my head, go do a TikTok about Trump. And I was like, I yelled in the car, absolutely not. Nope, not doing that, because I had received previously the download or the psychic information that Trump was going to win. And as you know, like all the other psychics on TikTok were saying Kamala was going to win. And every time I saw that, I'm like, no, she's not. And we get into arguments with these other TikTok psychics. Anyways, I'm sitting in the car and they're like, go, we need you to do this. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. My hair wasn't done. I was in track pants. I have messy hair. If you go watch it, you can see my grays. My hair's all messy. I'm just like, okay. So I just started recording and I just started yammering on, right? And you'll see the comments like, hey, just get to the point. But I said, okay, I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but Trump is going to win. I said MAGA was going to win. That's what I received was MAGA. MAGA was going to win, not, right? And so I'm like, okay, MAGA is going to win. And then posted it. I was like, good luck with that. I don't know what's going to happen with that. And literally overnight, it blew up to like over 1 million views. And it went viral, and I shared it on Instagram. And that is the reason how people started knowing who I was, because I listened to that energy and I put it out there. And I remember being like so scared. I'm like, I'm risking my entire career. Like I was scared. I'm like, if I'm wrong, I'm screwed. I'll forever be known as the psychic who doesn't know what she's doing. I had so many comments like, you're going to ruin your whole career. But this is a risk that I have to take. It's just a risk I knew I had to take. And I didn't know if it was going to pan out. And it turned out that it did. So it worked out for me.
I think it's really interesting. You're Canadian, so you don't even have a dog in this fight.
Nope. And yeah, people were like, oh, you just like Trump. I'm like, dude, I'm Canadian. Like, I don't even live in your country. People get mad at me. They're like, why are you so obsessed with America? And I'm like, because mostly the stuff I get is American information. I think in a past life, or like, I'm supposed to live in the States because I am obsessed with Florida. I love Florida. I go there 4 times a year. It's my favorite place, not in the world, but it's one of my favorite places. And so I'm drawn there for some reason. And so I guess Spirit used that.
That's fascinating. Let's get into some predictions, because that is what we are here. I don't know whether to be excited or scared, because the state of the world, and we don't get into politics on this podcast too deeply just because, yikes, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. What do you see happening on the world stage in 2026?
Yeah, it's funny because people ask me, how do you get your information, right? And it's not like I just go on demand. Okay, let's peek it. Let's take a crystal ball and peek into 2026. It's usually just like I'll meditate or I'll be in the shower and I'll just receive it out of nowhere randomly, which is how you know it's psychic information. But I want to mention to everyone who's listening, and I know a lot of people are like afraid, but the way I get it, it's neutral. There's no emotion at all in the information that I get. It's just almost like a fact. It's just a fact that this is going to happen. And I think the fear comes from people's perceptions or how they receive it in their body based on their own personal history and who they are as people, how they're raised too, and their mindset. But anyways, they come in very neutrally. So none of these to me are scared, because psychic information and spiritual information, the spirit world also is, there's no judgment. So when you hear something, you have a judgment on it, right? Whether you're aware of it or not. And so that's the problem, is people judge these things, lands on fear, which comes like the fear mongering or the doom scrolling and these kind of things. And at all, these are not scary to me at all. To me, they feel like part of the evolution or part of the revolution that we're in right now. So these things must happen in order for us to get to where we need to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you, I didn't count them, but I asked this morning, like, hey, I'm going on a podcast. Give me something good. So I actually sat there and I waited, and it came pretty quick. So I won't give you all of them because some of them don't have the context. They don't have the knowing with it, the claircognizant, but I will. So the first one that I received, and it's not specific, it's just, this is what I got, word for word. Big changes to the government. So massive changes to government. I was not told if it was Canadian, American, UK. So for me to get that more specific information, I'd have to go in again and tune into the specifics of it. So they're going to be general, but I did get a time frame. And the time frame was February to March. So that's the first one. Yeah. See, not scary. It's not scary.
That's not scary.
That's fine. We can handle this. I'm trying to gauge the predictions that I have written down here in like baby steps up to the bigger ones. But the generalness of some psychic, because this could be perceived as maybe not psychic information because there has always been changes to government. This one feels massive to me. Like in the history of politics, this has never happened. So I will say that, yeah. But I got a timeline. So February to March is when this is going to go down. Okay, this one is really cool to me. You know how they're always talking about the aliens and is it Project Bluebeam or this actual, whatever that big egg-shaped spaceships that's coming to Earth that apparently we're supposed to be in trouble with or whatever. Have you heard of that?
No, I was raised in Roswell, New Mexico, so I tend to
What?
shy away from. Yeah, my mother loves all of the Area 51
Oh, that is
sci-fi.
awesome.
That is not
Okay.
me. I can't get into it, but I'm here
Okay.
for it because I know there's a lot of people out there listening that's going to love this.
So there's two sides to this. I know there's aliens that exist. They actually exist. I've seen them. They've talked to me in 2020. They came to me. They downloaded. Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you that story. They downloaded everything that was going to happen the next month. And literally everything that they told me happened.
Whoa.
And there's a video on YouTube that you guys can watch. It's called The Blue Beings. It's my most watched YouTube video. And literally everything they told me happened.
Wow.
Like gas prices, school shutting down. And this is before the pandemic. The notes that I gave, anyways, they made me throw up. I was so mad. The energy was so intense of the aliens. I was like, get out of here. And I turned off my gifts. Leave me alone. But yeah, there's that. But yeah, so there are aliens. But there's also Project Bluebeam, which is where the government has this big plan where they're going to execute a fake alien invasion to scare everyone into submission, into following what the government says. It's part
That
of the
sounds
New
on
World
brand.
Order. Yeah, it's part of the New World Order, I believe. New World Order was what the aliens told me to tell everybody, and I lost friends. They were like, what do you mean you're scaring me? I can't talk to you. And literally, I lost friends because of this. And now, as you can see, it's playing out. But this part, I don't know what that big alien spaceship that's coming called. It has a fancy term for it. They've named it. NASA has blocked it out. Nobody can see what's going on. China is not telling anybody what's going on. To me, it feels like not the real aliens, if that makes sense. It feels very staged. But anyways, there are aliens and then there's not aliens. Okay? But this one is aliens, I think, I'm not sure. But there's going to be an increase in crop circles. Like thousands of crop circles are going to show up because we're not going to be convinced that it's real aliens. We're going to think it's the government doing it or vice versa. And I don't know who's doing this, but there's going to be a very big increase in crop circles. You know how there's sometimes crop circles? Mm-hmm. There's going to be thousands of crop circles just popping up out of nowhere in like very intricate designs. So not just a circle, there'll be like lines here, and it's going to be like a code. It's going to be like a language. And each crop circle that they hit, it's going to be part of a code and a message. See, I know it's crazy.
That's really cool, though. Think of it like QR codes in a crop circle.
Yes, that's what I was told. And when my arm hair stands up, when I say something that I've been given from the psychic realm, that means yes. So it's my validation that I'm not making any of this up. This is actually going to happen. It's not conspiracy theory. It's literally from the psychic realm. And this feels like one of the biggest things that I get. It sounds like random, like who cares about crop circles? But it's part of the plan, because then it connects to another one where they told me there was I don't know if it's might be farmers are going to be fighting back over crop damage. So what I saw, and this is a little bit scary, on a massive scale, there's going to be massive crop damage. So the government is going to I'm going to get kicked out for this. They're going to fly planes over crop fields, so farmers' fields where they grow food, and they're going to drop bombs, like fire bombs on them to destroy crops. So we're going to have it's a little bit scary. We should have a food shortage for a bit. And the bad thing is, because how are you going to protect yourself from that? Like, how's a farmer going to be like, don't burn my field? But that's what I saw, is planes dropping fire bombs to burn out the crops. Yeah, I probably should have ended with that one. But they go together. So that's why you hear psychics on Instagram or whatever saying, okay, stock up on food. Make sure you have the food. Make sure you have this. And it's not to scare you. One of the main pillars or purposes of a psychic, if they're doing it correctly and they're trained properly and they're ethical, is to prepare people for things, is to prepare them for something. Sometimes it's to help people make decisions and without telling them what to do. It's also to prevent things. So they either fall in one of these categories. This one is to prepare people. I can't stop this from happening. But it's maybe if someone's listening, they'll be like, oh, thanks, Jen. Now I have the heads up. I don't go to my field and all of a sudden my crops are gone. I think it's going to start when they start showing crop circles. They're connected to when this will happen. Yeah. So that's a little bit scary, but yeah. Can't really stop that one. I have a dam explosion, I didn't get where, which sucks. So these crop thingies are probably going to be out in the States. Let me see. I want to say a little bit of UK, but mostly in America.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But the dam explosion, it also has an American feel to it. But I think it might happen actually before 2026. If it doesn't happen like the end of 2025, it'll happen like January, the first part of the year. And I didn't get when, like where, these kind of things, which would be helpful. But if I get that information, I will for sure share that. So yeah, that's mostly what I have so far. The other ones, they get a little bit hairy. They get a little bit more, these are the ones that I don't have the claircognizant attached to it. So I don't want to say, but these are the ones I'm confident about in the way that I'm receiving them.
That makes sense. Yeah. I'm definitely not shocked to hear any of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think most people expect that there are aliens and that the government's hiding things from us. And something being staged totally seems on brand for the U.S. government right now.
I believe so. So then there's a thread from what I've just told you to, I don't remember when I did it. There's a reel I did about, I had a vision of the movie, The 4th of July. What's that movie called? Not The 4th of July, Independence Day. So I did a reel, like I think last year, about Independence Day, how that was going to happen. The aliens were going to come and set fire to things and chaos and destruction kind of stuff. And so that connects with what I saw then as well.
Oh, wow. There was something I was going to ask and then I got distracted. Okay. What was I going to ask? I'm thinking through like the crop circles, the alien invasion, the
crop damage,
food shortage.
Yeah.
I mean,
it could be on a global scale. So people are like, we've already had food shortages in the past. No, this is a global scale. And there has been warnings about this in the past. But I'm giving you when you start seeing crop circles, then you realize, oh God. Okay. So it's almost like I can pinpoint a time and space when this is going to start to go. Instead of being like, oh, maybe I should get some now, or maybe I should get them in November. I don't know when to do this. But it's like on a global scale.
Did you get the kind of time frame as far as like how long the shortage would last?
No. I could tap in a little bit and see. I want to say about 6 months. Like, I know it's a long time.
That is a long time.
I keep seeing the number. So I'll see the number 6. Right. When you ask me a question, I see a number 6 on it. Again, these were downloaded pretty fast, so I could give you some predictions for next year. I could spend a lot more time and then get more details about it, but this is what came in this morning, and they didn't have the time frames, which I know is helpful, but generally 2026 at some point in there. Yeah.
Ooh, that is good information to know so that we can better prepare ourselves. And not that we'll be happy about some of it, but whenever it comes true, I will definitely be coming back to this podcast interview and being like, she called it.
Yeah, I think it was last year, the year before, I was told when the locust storms comes, everything's going to go to bleep. And this past year, there was locust storms, and then all the cities started getting flooded right after the locust storms. People would send me in my DMs, here's the locust storm, and it wasn't like mainstream, but I was getting tons of videos from people, my followers, and from the news sources saying there was locust storms in various parts of the world. And as soon as the locust storm came, all the cities started flooding. Yeah, so there's going to be like a monumental, almost like a biblical feel to it. I think the locust storms are in a biblical prophecy. I'm not sure. In my recollection, is the locust storms and
the plagues.
The plagues, yeah, and Dr. Plague. I had that prediction of those. Did I tell you the story about when I saw the stuffies in the store in Buffalo last December? No. So it sounds random. Like before 2020 pandemic hit, I kept seeing a vision of Dr. Plague. So it's a kind of creepy looking bird-looking thing with goggles on. It's got a big beak and a hat, and his name is Dr. Plague. It's like a spirit or an entity. I kept seeing Dr. Plague. I'm like, what are you doing? And he holds up a machete. He's holding on one of those, and that's an actual entity. And I kept seeing him everywhere, like in my mind's eye. I'd be like, oh, what's Dr. Plague doing here? That's so weird. And this is before 2020. Then last December, we went to Buffalo for my daughter's birthday, Niagara Falls, and went to the border, and we went to the mall, and in Indigo Bookstore, there was a whole display of stuffed animals, but they were Dr. Plague stuffies. And I was like, what child needs a Dr. Plague stuffy? And people in the comments were like, oh, my kid has one, it's fine. I'm like, what? Like, people can't put a connection together to like these weird feelings. Like, why is there Dr. Plague? And it has a feeling to it like maybe another pandemic. A sickness is coming. And there was a couple of people who got the plague this year. And so there's connections to that. So the Dr. Plague thing, that was weird.
It's interesting because I've always been one that I can't watch anything dark. I don't do aliens. I don't do a whole lot of sci-fi. My spirit can't take it. I think it's interesting I don't have kids, so I can't say that as a parent I would do anything, but it makes sense to me in my adult age, knowing what I know about the spirit realm, why my mother would not allow me to watch certain things on television growing up. And the fact that, like, you're saying that this Dr. Plague is an entity of sorts, and people are just letting that into their house.
And it's going to sound crazy, but even those Labubu things,
they're hideous.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're demonic, but come on, look at them. Like, why do you need that in your house? Everybody was crazy. I'm going to put it in my purse. Like, a lot of people don't have that discernment or that feeling about things. Like, when you're like, something feels off to me, they don't have that dial, right? And so that's what my teachers back that you got to meditate or you're not going to get better. You won't build your gift. You won't be able to tap in and have those weird feelings between what is off and what isn't if you're always living outside of yourself. So for me to be like, okay, there's Dr. Plague, because obviously people are like, are you crazy? Are you whack? And I'm like, no, it's like literally telling you something. And people can't see that. They just think I'm crazy, which is, I'm used to that. I don't care. Yeah, I'm over that now.
I don't even do what you do and people think I'm crazy, and that's okay with me. Think what you want to think. That's none of my business.
That's part of the process is you have to, like, in the spotlight or on social media, you have to get, because it took me about a couple of years to get over that. And sometimes it'll still bother me. Now I just laugh. I'm like, that's funny. It doesn't stick as much as it used to because it was getting pretty nasty there for a while, especially with the Trump video.
I was about to say, I can only imagine the hate mail you received after the Trump video.
So I didn't get hate mail but I got hate mail my first 2 years of my career where hardly anybody knew who I was. And I was teaching and I was doing readings and I literally got 2 pieces of physical hate mail. So it's interesting that you randomly just bring that up. One piece of mail my husband brought in, I remember it had owls on it. There was an owl border. And my husband brought it in and he's like, I don't know if I want to give this to you. It feels weird. I had just handwritten my address on it, right? In handwriting. He's like, let's just open it. I knew it. And when you open it, it said fraud in like big letters. Someone took the time to get the envelope to write on a handwritten note, said fraud on it, find my address, mail it to me so that I would get it.
The fact that they could find your address is a little bit scary.
Yeah, that is, okay, that's why I am, for people say, I know where you live. I'm like, oh God.
I'm going to move next week. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else. Yeah, I've had people say, I know where you live. Then that can get me a tailspin because I have kids. I know your husband's name. I know where your husband works. Oh my God, you need to get a life. Go do something.
Yeah, the doxing thing is getting bad right now.
Yeah, you got to be careful. And you can't shield yourself from all the craziness. There's going to be some craziness in the public eye. Whether that's small or big or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It was weird though. It was like nobody knew who I was in the first 2 years. This is 2016. I'm getting hate mail. It's like, I didn't even do anything. I'm just trying to share my gift and do readings for people. I wasn't even on TV, no podcast, nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess it prepared me now for the future.
Things do happen like that. That is very true. We've come to the end of our time together. I've enjoyed this
Me too.
so much. And I think that people out there are going to want to be able to find you, to connect with you either on social media, or do you have a website? Yeah. Or where can people even learn more about your school?
Oh yeah, my school. So my website is great to get all the information about everything. So there's information about my private mentorship programs, which I'm going to be not doing anymore in January. My school of psychic and mediumship study. You can book a reading. You can find out more information about me. See if you like my energy. And so my website is spiritmentorjenabra.com, which, that's the easiest to get all the information. But you can really find me the most. I hang out on Instagram the most. And the Instagram, I feel, is the best, funnest place for me to be there working, like you said, entertain people and bring about these predictions in a not scary way and let them know that it's just going to happen. Just trying to let you know in my entertaining, humorous, fun, joyful style. So Instagram or my website. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. We will make sure to put all of your links in the show notes so that people can find you. Well, this brings us to a close on this season of the Holiday Survival Podcast. I hope that you and your families have a wonderful 2026. Thank you so much for listening and supporting and being here along the way. Stay well and hope to see you next year. Thank you for listening to the Holiday Survival Podcast. If this episode helped you feel a little bit more seen, supported, or sane during the holidays, it would mean so much if you'd leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and tap the 5-star rating on Spotify. It's a simple way to help more people find the show, and it truly makes a difference. For resources, links, and next steps from today's episode, just check out our show notes and be sure to click the follow button on whatever platform you're listening to this on so that you never miss an episode from this season. Remember, you don't have to navigate the holidays alone. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next episode.